Shabbat Shalom and greetings to you all. You know what? It's hard to believe, but we're in September now. Where has this year gone? I look at the sky and I can see the position of the sun and the moon. I can watch the celestial clock in motion. I know we're about 3 weeks from the fall equinox and another change in season, and then, of course, another year. We get used to the change in seasons, the inexorable march of time, punctuated and managed by celebration of holidays, national, religious, universal. Some things, though, are hardly noticeable, either because they fall into our expected pattern of life, or because they happen over a slow motion backdrop that simply becomes part of the fabric of life, or the procession of the planets, or the Platonic year, or great year as it is called. And changing ages is one of those completely unnoticeable events. And we're currently in the age of Aquarius, and ancient history left markers as to what each age event occurred in. Pisces was the age of religion. Aries was the age of the Bible. Taurus was the age of the Bronze Age of Greece, and so on. Each age takes about 2,160 years. And the great cycle of what to us is 1 year, but to Plato was the perfect year of the return of the constellations and fixed stars to the same position, took 25,920 years. Well, you're never going to get to see that great year, let alone one of its ages, since the best you'll do is live for about 3.5% to 4% of an age. But to get an idea of what it's talking about, watch a gyroscope spin, and its axis returns to the start position very quickly. And you're watching it would be like God watching the universe in motion. That's what's going on behind the scenes. We can't see those great cycles, but we see the short ones. And primarily, the moon is our guide. Now we're now 11 months, 11 moons since the second worst slaughter of Jews in history. We are coming up on 1 year. Who would have imagined it? Can't you hear the screams for justice? Neither can I. To many, the end of the world is truly coming. Hope you got your things together. Hope you're quite prepared to die. Looks like we're in for nasty weather. One eye is taken for an eye. Don't go round tonight. Well, it's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. Now that's probably a verse people do not pay as much attention to in that song, but what a statement that is. Now sometimes great strides in humanity do occur. Look back on the Age of Reason or the Industrial Revolution. Great strides for humanity. Okay, we didn't know that such progress would bring accelerated ending of the world through climate change, but we learn as we go. And sometimes strides are truly repressive. And one of the things that is repressive, but has been making strides, unfortunately, and occurring over a slow period, but accelerating, is the level of anti-Semitism that is growing. It is growing everywhere. There are constant new reports, new hate crimes, new destruction, new social media spewing of garbage and hate in Europe and North America, in government, but nowhere more so than the universities. We said never again, but never is a long time. Instead, there is widespread anti-Semitism all over, and it is now becoming acceptable to be anti-Semitic. Students can no longer attend classes at universities throughout North America because of the protests and violence against Jewish students. If you thought it was going away with the end of last school year, you were wrong. Now, these aren't protests against policies. These are protests against people. What have we become? You even have once storied reporting sources like the Wall Street Journal come out and blame Israel for Hamas, the terror group executing 6 hostages, including an American. Now, there was a day when negotiation with terrorists was not done, at times when the killing of an American would simply never have been tolerated. A new year is coming, and with it, there are always new opportunities. And I pray, as I'm sure all of you do too, that those remaining prisoners, victims of hate, are free for that new year. But those opportunities come after we spend 10 days in thorough self-examination, 10 days when we meditate on our position in the book of life. Sometimes it reminds me of, the Doors song playing at the beginning of Apocalypse Now, and how apropos that was. This is the end. Beautiful friend, this is the end. My only friend, the end of our elaborate plans, the end of everything that stands, the end of safety or surprise, the end. I'll never look into your eyes again. The inexorable march of time, whether it's in great cycles or small. Watch your own cycles of life. Watch the world's cycles. They continue to occur. And each of us has to do what we can to fix the part of our own life that can affect other people. Now, of course, one of the longest standing cycles is actually measured by the weekly Sabbath service and the gathering of family, friends, camaraderie, and nothing represents it more than probably the simple challah bread, shared at every Shabbat and at every life cycle event, weddings, births. The two most recognized symbols of Judaism in Israel are the Star of David and the menorah, but I bet the next would be the challah. Now, it's believed the inception of challah dates back to the Exodus from Egypt and the wanderings of the wilderness generation. According to the scriptures, God gave the Israelites manna from heaven to sustain them during their 40 years in the desert. And this manna was a miracle food. It kept people alive. And they were given a double portion on Friday to take them through the Sabbath. And so to this day, Jews around the world always prepare 2 loaves of challah for Shabbat to represent the double portion of manna that the people received. And its braiding represents unity of the different peoples and tribes. Now today, it represents Jewish practitioners all around the world, each observing in their own unique way. Just as we observe our weekly cycle of gathering as a collective consciousness of seekers showing faith, any and all faith, love, any and all love, because we are a fellowship, a true chavura, as we express our nature of kindness, compassion, thoughts, feelings, hopes, dreams, and wishes, unites us all in this community house of spirit, Beth Ruach, sharing and bringing light, keeping fear at bay. And even though together we are always individual in our approach, each strand that comes together, each connecting in his or her, their own way. So once again, please do go ahead. Invite everybody, physically, psychically, digitally, emotionally, spiritually, any way at all, gather and share. From Psalm 133, the Hine Matov, come together. Hine Matov. How good, how pleasant it is for brothers and sisters together. Community. 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 Together. Because we support each other in this community. Let's all spread love, goodwill, and fellowship to the world. Remember, friends, this is you sitting aside a little bit of sacred time in your own sacred space to honor and converse with whoever, whatever you happen to believe in, because we all believe in something. It's part of your Kavana. It's your intention that you put out to the universe. It's your goodwill. Goodwill and intention. They're the root of what you control, of what you can correct. It is your intention that sets in motion everything that occurs in your lives. So let's take some time now. Let's use that intention. Let's send some of that goodwill, some light, some healing, some renewal energy out to whoever you know that needs it. Healing and renewal is for everybody. It just floats through space, finding those in need. So send it out for those you know, for the souls and spirits of everybody you love. So think of whoever that needs healing and renewal and love or just plain goodwill. Focus on them. Call their names. It's not just for people. It is for our pets. It's for the earth. It is the healing of the world, the tikkun olam, that is part of our spiritual genetic makeup. And a part of the healing of the world is when we send our thoughts and energy for health and renewal and goodwill for everybody. They don't have to be sick, although it is the prayer for healing. But it's for those in our hearts and our minds. So let's all send energy out for people in need everywhere. Special thoughts and prayers for those in need of assistance. We pray for those who need prayer. We don't have to know them, because we want health, recovery, good life for everybody around us. Let's continue to send healing energy for those hostages. Still held, still in prison. For all of them. You know, and for those who are closer to us. For Amin and AJ, for Luke, Terry, for Paul and Maria. For Drew and Roger and PJ. For Lucy, Gloria, for Ainura, for Fern and Johnny. For Kathy, Ken. For Carla, Mina, Jessica, for Gabby. For Chuck, Maria and John. For Doria. Connie and Ronnie, for Tally and Maya. For Danny, for all those suffering and in need. Let's not forget to include all the familiars of our lives. All of our sacred animal friends everywhere. For everybody you know in need, for the whole world. And for Devorah. Friends, it is the kindness, the healing wishes, goodwill and love we all send out just circles the world finding those in need. So thank you, each of you, for all you do, for all you care, because the world is a world of spirit. And spirit, my friends, never dies. Shabbat. Avotenu Makor Limotenu. May the source of strength bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage. Make a life a blessing. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. Misha Baruch. Let us all have our spirits renewed, because this is the great prayer for healing, which we call upon God to heal as He's healed before. Misha Baruch, may He who blessed, because all healing is a blessing. Let's all send and receive healing and renewal energy in our efforts to love, to share, to care, to grow. Well, how do you like the retelling of the law so far? Bet you're looking forward to it either ending or picking up. And it's okay to feel that way. You've witnessed creation, the growth of man, the establishment of great nations, the fall and struggle to rise again, the struggle with faith, the birth of monotheism, the plagues, the gift of freedom, the epiphany, journey through the wilderness, miracles, all of these great events, a macrocosmic projection of what we each go through in our own lives on an ongoing basis. From cells dividing and forming and coming from the primordial in utero waters of birth, to coming forth and witnessing and letting there be light, our growth and development as children and youth, learning, doing, being, striving, emulating, understanding and learning our roles in life, our individual struggle with faith, our position, our own journey through our own wilderness of fear and lack, scenes played out in the lives of man throughout time. But for now, this week we read a shoftim, judges. Deuteronomy 16:18, you shall put judges and officers in all your gates, that the Lord your God is giving you for your tribes, and they shall judge the people judgment with justice. You shall not bend judgment. You shall not recognize a face. You shall not take a bribe, because bribery will blind the eyes of the wise and undermine the words of the virtuous. Justice. Justice you shall pursue, so that you'll live, and you'll take possession of the land that your God is giving you. It should be obvious, but unfortunately judgment and justice are not the same thing. And we shouldn't need to warn about bribery. Isn't that also obvious? But again, it's the reminder of man and evil in his heart that we have to be warned about these things. Justice must be for all, and it must be equal for and to all. And yes, it must be seen to be that way. How far it seems that we have fallen. Justice needs to be for both sides. The plaintiff in the defense in a civil matter, the defendant in the prosecution in a criminal matter. But we see so often that is not the case. We're too focused on winning and hating and manipulating. And that's wrong. We still have that bipolar view of life. Right, wrong, good, bad, love, hate. True winning is when everybody wins. What joy is there in defeating someone, in belittling or demeaning somebody? What satisfaction can we get when we know that we have cheated? We all expect fairness. We all expect decency, opportunity. We don't want to be judged, just as we should not be judging others, but we spend so much time judging other people. Don't want to judge nobody. Don't want to be judged. Don't want to touch nobody. Don't want to be touched. Don't want to hurt nobody. Don't want to be hurt. Don't want to treat nobody like they was dirt. But if you do right to me, baby, I'll do right to you too. Gotta do right to others. You have them. Like you have them. Like you have them. Do right to you. We all want to live in a judgment-free world. Then there's a further explanation of the underlying need for judgment with justice in our lives and in the life of society as a whole, and it deals with the crimes against society, the ones that help govern behavior. Deuteronomy 17:6. On the word of 2 witnesses, or 3 witnesses, shall the one who is to die be put to death. What shall not be put to death on the word of 1 witness, the witness's hand shall be on him first to put him to death, and all of the people's hand after that. Now this is fascinating. Don't forget, 1 witness is never sufficient. There must be 2 or 3. And these are set crimes, and the set punishments are known. So it's not like they decide it's going to be death. You commit this crime, the solution is death. The executioner is the people. And it's always the witnesses first, all the other people after. The death of another is not a light matter. It is the job of society, not a paid executioner. Right? And so you go to, you still go to the Middle Ages in the Middle East, where they still stone people. The first to throw the stones were the witnesses, then the rest of the people. It's the people who commit the execution. Now it's crucial that witnesses have to know that if they testify against someone in a capital case, they will have to strike the first blows against the defendant themselves. That emphasis is so important because it's your soul at stake. Now there's also another very important statement made. Deuteronomy 17:8. If a matter of judgment will be too daunting for you, between blood and blood, between law and law, between injury and injury, matters of disputes in your gates, then you shall get up and go up to the place that the Lord your God will choose. In every law code, there has to be a mechanism for change and for application to new and difficult situations. Even if the law is divine law, as this seems to be, there must be such a mechanism, and the Torah recognizes this and provides for it. You go to the great temple. You speak to the priests, you speak to the judges, you speak to the authorities of the day, or whoever is considered that era's authorities. They determine what to do. This has always been an underlying concept in Judaism, but it's not talked about much. And the greatest examples that we can see are the writing of the Talmud. And then about 1,000 years later, the great work of Maimonides and others in the Middle Ages, when it was important to add new things because of changes in law. But every year, when we read this, we are reminded we must examine what is written in light of changes to society. It's always one of the reasons I always seek new insight every year. See if there are new nuances instead of reading or saying the same old, as so many rabbis do. And so many practitioners notice. People are afraid to change what Maimonides or what any of the other great interpreters had to say. But never be afraid. Don't forget, this book is the retelling of the law. So we have to be available to come up with new things. We also read about the restrictions, put on here in any rules, that have to do with royal authority, outlawing of child sacrifices, laws about cities of refuge, laws about witnesses, laws about murder by persons unknown. And two very interesting things are talked about. One is a metaphor, and that's a discussion of boundaries. And I remind you of the great English maxim which says that fences or walls make good neighbors. Now, in biblical times, territorial borders were essential and were marked off with boundary stones, and within them city walls, and of course within the city walls each person marked their own boundaries. But there are other boundaries. What about personal boundaries? And aren't they really perhaps the most important boundaries of all? We all make boundaries. For love, for pain, for emotional states, for work, for ethics, for friendship. These are the boundaries that impact us on a daily basis. These are what make us healthy or unhealthy. And this is where we have to do them without judgment. Then there's a huge shift that takes place. One that suggests when this book might actually have been written. Deuteronomy 17:14. When you'll come to the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you'll take possession of it and live in it, and you'll say, let me set a king over me, like all the nations that are around me. You shall set a king over you, whom the Lord your God will choose. You shall set a king from among your brothers over you. You may not put a foreign man who is not your brother over you. A prediction, in effect, is made that down the road the people will ask for a king. Kingship came late to Israel. And who qualified was important, and it was a different type of kingship. You might almost call it a constitutional kingship, because there became almost a joint rule instituted. Checks and balances. The king has to be chosen by God. And therefore we see the rise of the prophets, picking and anointing the king. Samuel, who designated Saul and David. Nathan designated Solomon. And it goes on through history. The stories of the kings of Israel and Judah in the books of Samuel, the Kings, the Chronicles, all convey that kings are acceptable if the people want them. But their power is always limited and balanced by the power of the prophets. And kings who do not listen to prophets, or who imprison or execute them, do so at their own risk. And I say we get a clue as to when, because we're also told the king must write his own copy of this book of instruction, Torah, so that it is included in the ark, and it is inculcated in him. It keeps him humble and kind, right? So he places it, with the other writings. And the book of Deuteronomy was a book that was lost for almost 1,000 years. So could this be one of those kingly copies? There's just enough differences in the retelling of the law to suggest it might very well be part of it. Part of it could have been written by Moses himself. Yes, my friends, the world is sacred. So is everything in it. Express your gratitude, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, and be blessed. And share and honor the light and all who live in the light, and continue to shine and continue to send everybody you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everybody. And end to terror and hatred, because we're a community. We learn together, we celebrate with each other, we love each other. We share this right together, men and women equally. So let's all send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, goodwill, and healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Open your hearts. Honor the relationships of your life. Tell those you love that you do love them, and examine your intentions and use them to print your will on the universe. We set in motion everything that happens in our lives. It's our intention, our Kavanah. Our cause, our effect, everything is linked. You have time to forgive and to be forgiven because you have the knowledge of what's good and bad. So acknowledge what you have done wrong to yourself, to God, and to any person you have wronged. Ask forgiveness, but only do so if you have sincerity, accountability, and vulnerability. Forgive those who've hurt you as you learn to be forgiving and compassionate, because the secret of forgiveness, compassion, and peace is acceptance. Can you accept yourself, other people, in the world just as they are? Can you accept life as it is without trying to control it? If you do, you can experience the peace that acceptance brings. So keep on dreaming, my friends. Keep on being, keep sharing, keep shining, keep teaching. Keep spreading joy and goodwill. Do not follow fear, follow love. It's always in front of you. Work to be present in the body. Expand your heart, quiet your mind, because the deepest source of your real power is your consciousness, your ability to be mindful, to be present, to be aware in all of life's circumstances. Love with the heart. It's all part of a greater whole. Embrace love, not fear, forgiveness, not anger, and be there for someone, because someone is always there for you, whether you know it or not. Continue to explore faith and belief. Never accept shame as a natural state. Whatever you feel others have felt, whatever you've experienced others have too, because we share together. We learn together, we help each other, because we are each of us simply trying to find love and acceptance and support. We all have or could have that special someone in our lives, so find them. Tell them what they mean, because you're never alone on your journey. We're all on that journey. Keep forgiving those you need to forgive, and keep asking forgiveness from those you need to ask forgiveness of. Keep listening to the voice of God, as he, she, it, them, they, whatever, talks to you. And remember, I don't think God signs his email with my pronouns are, because his pronouns are all pronouns. Your connection to God and all that's created in body, soul, is always a part of you. It's a part of me. It's a part of all of us forever, and it always will be. Since this section is devoted to justice, think of it, how it governs us, how it dictates the lives we lead, whether for good or bad, and how it can often ask about our intent. Intent is the driving force in all action and reaction. Not guilty. Forgetting in your way while you're trying to steal the day. Not guilty. Not here for the rest. Not trying to steal your vest. I'm not trying to be smart. I only want what I can get. I'm really sorry for your ancient head, but like you heard me say, not guilty. Now thank you for joining me, friends. Just a few weeks to the end of the journey, when we start again, as we stand in front of the great judge and hope for judgment with justice. Shabbat shalom and blessings to you all. Take care.